We've all heard a story about someone in the workplace who has been sexually harassed. It most likely starts out as a woman who has been slowly have a situation escalating between her and another man if he's making inappropriate gestures or sexual comments, and it gets so bad that she has to quit her job. So as people who value their feeling of security in the workplace, we should all be aware of what sexual harassment looks like and how to successfully handle this problem. It is likely that all of us will witness or experience sexual harassment in the workplace at one point or another, and most people aren't aware of what is considered sexual harassment. So that's why we're having this meeting today, to go over what it looks like and how to handle it to make sure that we're all on the same page as a company. In this presentation, I'm going to go over what sexual harassment actually looks like and how to prevent it and possibly stop it altogether. According to the legal dictionary, sex discrimination is defined as unwelcome verbal, visual, or physical conduct of a sexual nature that is severe, pervasive, and affects working conditions or creates a hostile work environment. According to the equalrightsadvocate.org, there are many forms of sexual harassment. As was defined by the Equal Rights Advocate, there are 6 different forms. First is going to be non-sexual conduct. And this is, the best example of this would be if there's only one woman working in a company. Let's say, for the sake of this example, that she's working in a construction company, and all of the men in her company always hide her tools from her. If she's being targeted just because she's a woman, so due to her sex, this would be the form of non-sexual conduct. Second is going to be severe sexual harassment, and this is defined as life-threatening or pervasive. Pervasive is if it's a continuous or if it escalates over time. Third is going to be physical sexual harassment, which is if someone is assaulting you or blocking you in the hallway so they can't get by you, if they're inappropriately touching you, groping you, kissing you, hugging you. Any unwanted physical conduct is going to be sexual harassment of a physical nature. Fourth is going to be verbal or written sexual harassment. And this would include any comments about someone's clothing, personal behavior, or a person's body. It could also be repeatedly asking someone out or outright asking for sexual favors. Fifth is going to be nonverbal sexual harassment, and this is if you're looking someone up and down, if you are making derogatory gestures or facial expressions of a sexual nature, or if someone is stalking you. That would also be considered a nonverbal form of sexual harassment. Sixth and finally is a visual form of sexual harassment. This would be any posters, pictures, drawings, or even emails of a sexual nature. As was found by researcher Barry Roberts, both men and women are affected by sexual harassment in the workplace. Unfortunately, only 2/3 of Americans surveyed found sexual harassment to be a problem, and so that's why this meeting is so important today, because we need to make everyone aware that this is a real problem that affects a lot of people. 25% of women across the country report being sexually harassed at work, and only 9% of men report it. Keep in mind that these numbers are probably much higher, as a lot of people who are affected by sexual harassment do not actually report it. If this problem is not solved, corporations will continue to lose significant amounts of money, and lawful action will have to be taken. As was also found by researcher Barry Roberts, a typical Fortune 500 company can lose up to $6.7 billion annually due to sexual harassment. This figure was from 1988, so if you account for inflation and the time that has passed, the amount of money that is lost is probably much higher than that today. Companies lose money due to this as a result of lower productivity of employees, higher absences from work, poor morale, and a higher rate of employee turnover. The federal law prohibits that sexual laws in the workplace. This is called the Title VII Act of the Civil Rights Act. This law makes employers responsible for preventing and stopping sexual harassment on the job, and that's why we found it so important to hold a meeting today, because we as your employers are going to be responsible if anything occurs in the workplace. Many people think that reporting sexual harassment isn't easy and are worried that the amount of steps taken to report it are way too many. However, in reality, there's just a few easy steps to follow if you are experiencing sexual harassment. First, and most importantly, is to be aware of your company's procedure on sexual harassment. Especially before starting a job, you should meet with your human resources advisor and go over all the steps to take during their policy of sexual harassment. If you do encounter this in the workplace, the first thing to do would be to say no. If the sexual harassment continues, you need to start keeping a journal of all the dates, times, places, and possible witnesses that might be in the situation. If it's possible, you should also ask your coworkers to try to keep a record of what they are noticing. These journals are going to be really important to you in the future meetings with your managers. Most importantly, remember, do not keep these files at your work because you don't want someone stumbling across them that doesn't need to see it. Keep it in a safe place in your home. Next would be report to a supervisor or human resource department. Title VII requires that the employer handles cases of sexual harassment, and if they are not aware of it, there's nothing they're going to be able to do for you. So making sure that your supervisor is aware of everything going on is really important. This is the time when you would turn in your journals to them. Which leads us to the next step. You need to report it on paper and not just verbally. This way it's on record and there's no confusion over what is actually taking place. After you file your formal complaint with your supervisor, you're going to be able to file a lawsuit with the company. These are the best steps to take because they provide you lawful guidance and are exactly what is prescribed by Title VII. They are the easiest route to take to successfully report and end sexual harassment in the workplace. Really, the most important step is going to be to be aware of sexual harassment in your own workplace. This is going to be key. Remembering the steps we just went over in case you or a coworker is ever faced with sexual harassment. So today in the meeting, we covered how to identify sexual harassment in your workplace, and we gave a step-by-step process for how to handle it. None of us ever want to be faced with a situation where we feel forced out of a job. Work should be a safe and comfortable environment for everyone, and so that's why learning about what sexual harassment is and the steps to take are so important. Thank you so much, and I can take any questions or concerns after the meeting.